Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just quickly give you a brief about what Evolve is. So, Evolve is becoming a platform to learn and share the wisdom that leaders possess, so as to cultivate an environment of knowledge and experience sharing. It is an open ecosystem fostered to share events that are milestones in creating impactful leaders. Welcome, and we have Aniruddha Bhagwat as our guest today. Aniruddha post his MBA, joined Good Relations India, one of the oldest PR and communication companies in India, as an account manager, where he worked up the ranks to head the Mumbai and Pune regions at the age of 24. He was one of the youngest branch heads among the top communication consultancies at that time. After working in the communication industries for over 3 years, Aniruddha realized the answer was not in the tool, but in the idea, and along with co-founder Minal established Ideosphere in 2011. Ideosphere has been recognized as the boutique agency of the year, listed one of the top 50 PR agencies, and has received product launch of the year for Fulcrum Awards 2018. Aniruddha has been on list of the 100 influential global youth marketing professionals. That's some commendable achievements throughout his journey. I welcome Aniruddha sir as well as everyone present here. In today's Evolve session, we'll be discussing about converging impact that marketing and technology will have on business strategy and planning. So yeah, hello. I would now request Stephen sir to take this session ahead.
Hi, Stephen. Thanks, Gitali.
Thanks, Gitali. So we all know Aniruddha because he's been associated with IRO, and just through the brief, you come to know what all you've done here. So good on that front, and I'd leave the floor to you because I'm sure the session is going to be super interesting.
I hope so. Okay, so good. I'm so glad Stephen allowed me to do this. And yes, Stephen, this is cool because Evolve was something that we conceptualized like a year and a half ago, and I've never had a chance to speak to everybody. So good to actually be here and speak on that level. I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah.
Actually, you have to give me sharing access, Gitan.
Did you get it?
Takes a second. No. Or else, Gitali, you can share the presentation. Anything works.
Just a second, sir. We'll just.
Yeah, I have access.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Okay. Cool. You guys can see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. So yes, firstly, I would like to say that I'm accidentally into technology. Anupam was the first person to actually call me for Tech Mahindra about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And from then, I've been in tech. From a technology perspective, I've been the biggest laggard across my entire career. I think I was the last person on Orkut. I was the last person on Facebook. I'm never on Instagram because I don't exist there. So I'm still catching up to all the technology. But with how industries progressed, it's forced me to have to learn, right? And one of the things that working with technology brands and IRO also, I've gotten so much learning as to how technology has progressed over the last 4 or 5 years, where it's heading, and how the levers of importance or where the importance is shifting from, right? When 5 years ago, when I first started with working on tech or working with tech brands, a lot of the importance was on the technology itself. And when I mean technology, I mean the code, right? In terms of how the structure is happening, how the architecture is, and how the system design is, etc. Today, all those things are taken for granted. And today it's all about experience. Today it's about what the user is going to take away. What value are you bringing to the business? These are the questions that technology is asking. And there's a large change for all of us on this session, even as developers, as data people, and all the other different roles that you guys are here with. I think we need to understand the shift that the business is going to have. And this needle is moving pretty fast. And technology and marketing are going to become or have already become accidental partners, right? A lot of technologists used to hate marketers. Early part of my career, I had an opportunity to work with Apple. I was on the team with Apple all the way from iPod to iPad. And I know how much the tech teams over there hated marketing, because all we wanted to do was announce products and announce apps. And at that point of time, a lot of their app store communication was things that we did. But I think the partnership between marketing and technology has been slightly forced, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we've really seen how both of them have come together. And it's important to see that how is marketing and technology actually aligned? From one perspective, what is the job of marketing, right? The job of marketing is essentially to bring people to your product, right? What's the job of technology? Is to build the product. Now, the question remains that if you're trying to build the product without knowing what people are going to come and what people are expecting, how can you build a good product, right? And if you're going to attract people, to bring people to that platform without knowing the nuances of the technology of that platform, how do you get the right people to come? In a sense, technology and marketing should have been partners a long, long time ago. And they're still not partners even today. There's some siloed departments across multiple companies. But really, they're doing the same thing. And one of the things that today I want to talk about is how technology and marketing are similar, what we can learn from that, and why we need to, as technologists or as marketers, really need to have a good sense of both of the other sides of the business for us to grow as in our own careers. So the first question I have for all of you, and anyone can answer, I don't see anyone, so I won't call anyone, but how accurate do we get paid to be? And let me ask Stephen. I won't ask Stephen. Is Saurabh on this call? So hi, Saurabh. So you're obviously from a recruitment perspective, from a people perspective, how accurate, Saurabh, do you get paid to be? No? Anyone else? Stephen, why don't you tell? How accurate do you get paid to be?
So quite accurate. I mean, the whole payment is about the conversation that we make with people, right? So I would say about 60 to 90% fluctuating on where you stand.
That's a large bandwidth of accuracy, right? So, but at least the point being, we are not supposed to be, or we are not getting paid to be as accurate as doctors or as a pilot, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell me that your pilot should be 60 to 90% accurate, right? He or she needs to be 100% accurate, right? A surgeon needs to be 100% accurate, right? But a technology marketer, in Stephen's words, can be 60 to 90% accurate, right? Stephen will tell you marketing data is usually 10 to 20% accurate. All the data that we pick up when we are trying to target customers is about 10 to 20% accurate. And it goes up above 20 as we reduce the audience, because as we segregate more of the audience and focus down on one particular audience, our marketing data increases, but the accuracy is still not more than 20-25%, right? As a marketer, we get paid on creativity, right? We don't get paid on accuracy. But people who are building products today, people who are on the technology side, they get paid to be accurate, right? Things cannot collapse, things cannot break down, right? And that is one of the things that really is the reason why sometimes it's siloed, because technology feels that how do you measure marketing? Because we measure technology all the time, right? We measure in terms of how good it's doing, USP velocity, experience, that downtime, uptime, all these types of metrics we have, right? And Stephen, I'm sure that both of us have been hit with a lot of marketing measurement questions throughout our career, that how are we measuring what you're doing, right? And we have been creating and making up stories since the start of both of our careers, and we'll continue to do that, because it's very hard to actually say that, okay, how do we actually measure it down? And I can tell you one thing, that technology and how technology has come into the industry is actually forced marketing to be more and more accurate, right? Because there's ways to now measure engagement. There's ways to measure how a person is moving on a website, right? How their behavior is, what their digital journeys are. And as more and more data comes to us, it is able to tell us, what are we targeting the right type of customer? Are we going with the right message? Are we using the right type of marketing mediums, etc., right?
True.
So technology in a way has forced marketing to be more accurate. Technology has always had to be accurate. As technology becomes more and more a part of our life, we expect it to be accurate. And that's the change, right? Consumers are now expecting technology to be accurate, right? We will get very, very irritated if an app just shuts down or crashes, right? If something doesn't work, if one Ola cab ride gets cancelled by accident, we throw a fit, right? Because we expect it to be accurate because it's become a part of us. And marketing is similar in terms of the way that it's increasing. But for the consumer, they never cared whether it was brand or tech. For them, they are able to create a impression of the business, whether they want to be connected to it, whether they want to buy the product or service that you're selling, regardless whether it's brand or tech, right? And this is where the synergy or collision of technology and marketing really started. That whether I'm showing an advertisement or somebody is on my application, or I am doing some PR, or I'm writing a LinkedIn post, or I am releasing a new feature. For the consumer, it's all the same. It is all the company. And if any one of these things mess up, I may want to rethink whether I want to be associated with this company. So for the customer today, and I'm talking about the end customer, and you could look at it from an enterprise level or a consumer level, they don't care if it's brand or tech. They want it to work. They want it to do what it's supposed to do. And they've come here to actually accrue the value of what that product is going to be, right? So from a perspective that a customer does not care if brand or technology are different, which means that marketing and technology are in a way connected at the hip when it goes to the customer. So why is it the same? And Anupam, sorry, I have kind of borrowed some future terminologies that you will use in terms of our own position. But marketing and technology have always been fighting the same fight, unfortunately separately. Right? Marketing has been trying to get people to the platform. Technology has been trying to build a great platform for those people, and marketing and technology always have been fighting and never decided to speak. It's time that both of these domains and both of these silos start listening to each other, because there's a lot that we can learn from each other. But before we start listening, the reason why most people don't listen to others is because either they have a fear of something or it's a fear of the unknown. Right? A lot of technology does not want to listen to marketing because they don't understand the jargon, they don't understand the lingo, and very honestly, at times they don't understand what exactly they do in the company because they're not measured. And a lot of times, marketing has a fear of technology in terms of the unknown of even having a technology conversation. I know so many people across marketing and communications that I have met in my career who never want to go into technology solely for the fear of the fact that they don't know how to communicate or what anything means. But I think the basics of marketing and technology need to be learned by both of these audiences, because if you're fighting the same fight, you might as well be friends, right? And we learn this through a lot of world wars, but this is also true in our own profession. Because at the end of the day, why the customer is coming to us is absolutely the same, whether it's marketing or technology. They either want to grow the business, either they want to cut costs in terms of how much it costs them to deliver the service or product, or they want to innovate in terms of finding a better answer. And then I wouldn't say majority, some amount of customers just do it because everyone else is doing it. So they have no idea why they're doing it. And we come across customers like that all the time. So we leave those people apart. But customers who have a true purpose as to why they're going and hiring a technology team or hiring a marketing team, essentially, people who have a true purpose will either want to grow, save, or innovate, right? These are the reasons. So we are also not only tied by the fact that the customer thinks we are the same, we are tied by the fact that we are having the same fight, but we are also tied by the fact that we are actually supposed to do and give the same outcome, although in different methodologies to the customer. So how does this change things for us, right? And when I mean us, I mean you as technologists, right? Your design thinking team is sitting on social media, right? They are talking about products. They are talking about exactly what they want. What do we do in design thinking? I've had the opportunity to sit across a couple of design thinking sessions during when we were involved in building that. And what are they talking about? They're talking about what are the developers' challenges when developing, right? That's what they're talking about. And they're sitting in that 4x4 room that was there with a couple of whiteboards and the team that was sitting there, and they used to talk about this. But really, if you go and you research on what people are talking about outside on social media, if you use listening tools to be able to listen into conversations which are relevant about developing and about the challenges that you face, you will find far more requirements that you need to fulfill as a product team outside on social media than you may sitting in that closed room, right? And it is time that as technologists and as we embrace design thinking more and more when we are trying to build solutions, it's more important that we are aware of what's going on, what people want, and at least are glued into what people are saying. Now, as technologists, I don't necessarily expect you to go on social media and sit there and listen to this. But it's a question that technologists or developers can ask the marketing team, telling them, hey, send me a report of what people are talking about this space on social media when they're actually trying to understand requirement. Moreover, it can also help you prioritize your backlog and fulfill that backlog, because all the time, if you go on social media, people are talking about what new things that they want, right? And whether this is enterprise or consumer, there's enough sources of information for us to get actual customer or consumer insights all the time today across the internet, right? And this is the first step of design thinking, right? Empathy. Empathy is for free, and it's called google.com. And it is literally, you can find any behavior or anything about anyone on these type of websites or whatever, social media platforms or websites. But it is literally a search away, right? And a lot of times as marketers, I know I go, there's a skill of doing Google search well, right? It's just not about like at times, if you're able to use this Google search really well, you can find out a lot of data that exists about people that other people cannot find. The second thing that will happen is if marketing and technology decide to join hands, then you'll stop wasting your time with things that no one cares about, right? I used to sit in design thinking or rather development meetings with for NIDE again. I used to sit for development meetings, and they used to talk about a feature, and we had just run an insight study internally of talking to developers of what they want, right? And I mentioned this in the meeting. I said, hey, but this feature that you're talking about that is going to take 2 months to build, and you guys are arguing about it and fighting about it, right? Our insights tells us that the teams that are supposed to adopt this, the developers, they don't care about this feature. They could care less. And we are spending time trying to fight about it, right? A lot of times, innovation is great. Innovation is doing something new, is connecting the dots, right? Useless innovation is horrible, right? Because innovation takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. And if you don't point your innovation in the right direction, you're going to be creating a lot of new things that nobody cares about. But marketing can tell you if that matters to them. Ask marketing once that, will this feature excite my consumer? And that could be B2B or B2C. They will tell you if that will excite or not. And if they don't know, they are able to have the ability to go and find out, right? And that is why understanding the nuances of marketing is very important, because otherwise, how will technology communicate with marketing and understand what we are trying to say? Because essentially the language and colloquialisms are two different things. So one of the things that it allows you to also do is put your customer on ice. And this is just, ice was just to help me remember ICE. But what happens is that if technology is more meaningful, if technology is a better listener, you are able to put your customer on ice, which means that you are able to actually look at, there's an ICE framework that we use, right? Whenever we are going into marketing, there's an ICE framework that we use. And I think technology can also use a similar framework of what we are trying to look at. What we first evaluate as IC is that any feature that you think of, anything that you feel that the customer wants, you first look at how much will it impact the customer? How much will it be important to them? How much will it move the needle for the customer in terms of experience, satisfaction, or delight, right? And these are the things that we look at. Confidence means what percentage of confidence do you have that that needle will actually move if you do what you're about to do? And ease is obviously the effort. Ease is obviously the effort that we put in to build that, right? So you're talking about time and effort, you're talking about whether your customer wants it, and you're talking about whether you have the confidence in building what they want. These three things are always going to be fluctuating on different types of parameters, but ICE always helps you to figure out that if you're a good listener and you figure out, hey, this is something that could actually move the needle for the customer. If I build this type of experience for EdTech, or this type of experience for a healthcare client where they're trying to, I guess, remotely conduct an IoT type of technology, where they're trying to understand how different diagnostics are working within the patients that are there, right? First thing I will look at is this going to impact? Is it going to move the needle of impact in terms of delight, in terms of satisfaction, or in terms of outcome? Then I will look at, okay, what confidence do I have that I can build it? And then how easy is it to build? And the more and more you are able to play around with these type of permutation combinations, you can actually make technology more meaningful, better. It's not only about the velocity of feature release, it's about the velocity of meaningful feature release. And that is something that if you're a good listener, marketing can definitely help you to do that, right? Now, there could be a large portion who think whatever I'm saying is stupid. And I appreciate that, okay? And I respect your view, because I can see where you have a different view on why marketing and technology are even needed, right? But here are the outcomes of the decision if you believe that. You will continue to deliver technology, I have no doubt, because you're technologists, but it will have no purpose, which means that you will not be able to connect to the pulse of your user or pulse of your behavior, because you're not going to be inculcating design thinking when you're doing it. Because the moment you start looking at design thinking, you're already using the foundations of marketing, which is understanding the persona. Second is, you won't create waste disguised as innovation, right? There's a lot of waste that is created in technology every day. They come out as features and they come out as messages on marketing decks, where we wonder at times that, hey, why was this innovation that you're talking about, why was it created? Because nobody cares about it, but this is your main message on your marketing deck, right? So one of the things, like for example, and I'll use the NAD example because a lot of people may know it, right? Today, millennials prefer bite-sized skilling, right? This is a big assumption, and on the back of that assumption, we've created a innovation that allows you to actually bite-size learn and do all of these things, right? Which is great for the business. Nobody has asked, I know, the actual millennial that we speak about, that have we asked them that, hey, do you want bite-sized skilling, or do you just want to learn in a month and be ready with the whole thing and then come? Or do you want to learn in 2 weeks, get on the delivery conveyor in another 2 weeks, so that you can actually learn, get assessed, and get on the delivery conveyor, making you much more efficient, making our productivity much more higher, making our business outcomes much more higher. It sounds like everything is important for the business. Nobody's asked the millennial. These are all outcomes for the business, right? And that is where innovation is great. You can talk about it. It's messaging on a slide, but it's waste if nobody uses it and nobody cares about it. And then lastly, that if you think this is stupid way, you're not going to be able to use marketing in the way that you're building your technology products. And because of the fact that we are a product engineering company, you will only be as good as number 2 in the entire industry that you're in. Because you will develop good technology. I have no doubt. You guys are good technologists. But at the same time, if you don't have the pulse of your consumer, if you don't understand and you're not listening when you're actually building, you can hardly be as good as number 2, because number 1 are the people who listen. Number 1 who are the people who are reflecting exactly what the audiences want. Number 1 are the people who prioritize features based on what their users want, not what they think the users want. And this difference in marketing is something that we have seen across so many use cases. And I won't take the usual suspects of the Apple and Tesla and all, but this is where if they're able to actually have a technology which is connected to the consumer, whether it has a purpose, where they know that a set of their audience believes in what they're trying to create because they have the pulse of marketing in place, then it allows you to be number 1. Otherwise, you'll be as good as number 2. And we spoke about accuracy. I asked that question initially in terms of what is accurate and are you accurate? Stephen, you said 60 to 70%, right? I guess the better question, as an insights person, I can tell you the best question when somebody asks you, are you accurate? You should say accurate with what? It's an open-ended question, right? So the view here is that as marketers or as technologists, what do we need to be accurate? Because errors are going to happen. Things are going to break down. And customers will always be customers. We know that you can deliver the world to them and they'll still want more, right? So when it looks like accuracy, because when Stephen says, say 90% I'm accurate, then I want 91. Right? And that's how things happen. But what we need to be accurate with is our users' motivations. What we need to be accurate with is how our consumers or how our users are, and are we going to be having a listening and a meaningful way of being able to capture exactly what the users of the product that we are building want, and being able to then mirror and translate, and then being able to build technology that's aligned to what they want, right? Which means it's very, very important that we are accurate with our innovation. In fact, I put a number there. We have to be 95 to 99% accurate with our innovation. Because innovation for the sake of innovation, I mean, you can do it. But I know for a fact that, that true innovation takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of learning, and a lot of stress, blood, tears. All of these things happen when you're trying to innovate. And imagine going through that entire journey for nothing because the user never wanted it, right? So if you're going to get on a journey of innovation and as your vehicle to be able to customer what they want along the way, because then that innovation, when you know it is done after that entire effort, after you've taken that strenuous journey, you know that the consumer will be much better able to be able to consume that and respond to it very well. Hey, thanks for making this for us. This is exactly what we want, right? On a couple of LinkedIn posts, I saw Anupam talking about technology with a conscience and how it needs to kind of understand and mimic what the users want. This is exactly that. We have to be accurate with our innovation, and for us to be accurate with our innovation, we have to be accurate with our user.
Hi, Yogesh sir, please go on mute.
So what we have to be accurate with is our users' motivations and what they are and what their insights are. What are their fears? What are their wants? What are their desires? These are the types of insights we need to pick up. Marketing can help you guys pick up those insights. And I feel that going forward, whenever, no matter what level of technology you guys are working on or we are working on, I think it's important to ask these questions about the user, about what they want, and start with that why question rather than what do we want to do. Because the more and more we start questioning what we are doing, and the more and more we start challenging the company or marketing for that matter to give those type of data and insights, the more and more accurate we will become. Because just like the pilot, just like the surgeon, while it's not life or death, unfortunately, your end customer is expecting you to be 100% accurate, because anything less, and there's 100 different competition they could go with. And when we are working for a customer and when we are working and developing for a customer, that's something that they cannot afford in business. So they expect you to be 100% accurate. And you can only be 100% accurate if we are all focused on and put the consumer at the core, whether it is marketing or technology. It is important that we are putting the customer in the middle, and that marketing knows tech and tech knows marketing. And if nothing else, at least we show that we care about each other, because in the future, both of these are going to have to work very, very closely together if we really want to innovate and create an impact with the customers that we want. So that was just the initial preamble. Stephen, thank you guys so much for letting me present that.
But absolutely, spot on in terms of why technology and marketing should marry in terms of communication and understanding the customer. So I hope the team takes away these very critical points in terms of why technology should understand their customers better, obviously to deliver better, but to also develop and contribute relevant. So amazing takeaways from today's session. And from the entire Aeros team, it has been an absolute nostalgia to bring you in after the completion of 1 year. And also to have these points discussed internally feels like a homely session. But that was the point of it, to create a better connect with people from somebody who knows what we are. So thank you so much for your participation. And I'm pretty sure that everyone takes away something important today.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Aniruddha.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.